gonna start a little early. Just a smidge early, because I have a lot to say. So much. So much to say, so much to say, so much to say, so much to say! Hey, Casey! Do you like my outfit? I love it so much. I feel so fancy. Fancy! Ah. Hey, Grandpa! Hey, girl, hi. Hi, Grandma! Hi, girl, hi. Grandma, we texted you earlier to see if Cookie was awake. Hey, Erin! Hey, girl, hi. Hi. I just love my dress so much. I wanted to get multiple days out of it. So this is day 3. I promise I'll change next week. I was just so excited. So excited. Hey, Jarita! Hey, girl, hi. Oh, I have a very exciting show today. I have a lot to talk about. So I wanted to start just a smidge early. It was like a minute early so we could get to the good stuff. Hey, Judy! Thank you, Judy. Judy says, love the Burberry style. You rock it. Girl, you rock it. Rock it! Yeah! I don't know where this is all coming from. I'm having like a 80s, 90s music flashback. That's what's happening. Judy, where's Matt? Is he not there? Does he not love me? Why doesn't he love me? This is so sad. Matt? Where are you? Where's Brad? Brad! 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 Where's Brad? I think my Olympic rings are backwards. I just realized that. Because I think we made them when we didn't flip everything around. Oh well, that's okay. No Brad, no Matt. Hey, Randy! Hey, girl, hey! We were just rewatching last year's episode of Today, and my, how the show has changed just a little bit. Wow. 80s montage coming soon. Yeah. We've been rewatching a show from the 90s, so all these 90s songs are in our mind. We're going to talk about that at some point, just not today. Hey, Matt! Hey, girl, hi. Okay, I'm going to get started because I have a lot to talk about. Here we go. That is not what I was trying to play. One more time. That was funny. I wish I could say COVID went away and we were on holiday, but we're mostly quarantining. So get all the matzah, you're gonna eat a lotza. It's the Carla Pours Passover show. Oh, I almost said Purim, but that already happened, so whoops. Anyway, okay. Erin said watch the Real World Reunion show the other day. Oh, did you? We don't have that channel. Oh, I wish we could. So much to discuss. Okay, I'm gonna just dive right in because I got a lot to discuss, and Carrie has been feverishly writing for like most of today and most of yesterday. So, okay, here we go. Okay, people. You know the spiel by now. I am but one humble Jewish narrator taking on the task of telling you all about Passover. I'm going to give you a basic overall picture and my own description of how I celebrate. This is not how every Jewish person celebrates. In fact, not only are there varying degrees of how strict a person may be in their observation of Passover, but based on where your heritage, or based on your heritage, you may even eat totally different things than what I eat on this holiday. So, here we go. Say what? Okay, Passover begins sundown on March 27th, and it ends on sundown April 4th. Now, some of you remember from watching the other Jewish holiday episodes that the dates of Jewish holidays change each year because of the date It's not set by the Gregorian calendar. I feel so fancy saying that. But by the lunar-based Hebrew calendar. That being said, it always occurs during the Hebrew month of Nisan, which is now. But not Nissan, like the car. Different thing entirely. Phyllis! Hey, Phyllis! Hey, girl, hey. Okay, Phyllis, buckle up. This is going to be... I'm going to get myself cozy because I got a lot to say. Okay, so what is Passover? Passover marks the exodus of the children of Israel from Egyptian slavery. So here's how this all went down. You know the musical Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat? That's not this, but it's the beginning of the story. I'll sum it up in case you don't know. There's this guy named Jacob, and he has kids, and one of them is Joseph, and Jacob totally favors him and gives him this coat of many colors, and then his brothers want none of that, so they sell Joseph into slavery and yada yada yada. Joseph is a dream interpreter, and he gets in with the Pharaoh of Egypt and becomes all high and mighty. And then his brothers are like, gosh, we're starving, and there's a drought, and there's a famine, and we super messed up, are bad. Please love us again. And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. The point is, Joseph and his brothers end up settling in Egypt. Due to the severe famine in their homeland of Canaan. So, a long time goes by, and Joseph and his brothers pass on, and the Israelites live in harmony with the other people in the land. But, as their population grows, the Egyptians begin to see them as a threat. Hashtag scapegoating, hashtag calm down, hashtag why you gotta be like that. So, this particularly hostile Pharaoh orders the enslavement and the systemic drowning of the firstborn sons in the Nile, which is really not okay. And was everyone hating, or just that one Pharaoh? And he was so powerful that people just do what he said? I don't know. Let's find out. One of the doomed infants gets rescued by the Pharaoh's daughter and given the name Moses, which means one who is pulled out. Get it? Because he was pulled out of the river. And he gets adopted into the Egyptian royal family. I can't even imagine how that worked out. She wasn't pregnant and then is this is my new baby, and BT Dubs, his name is Moses. And nobody was so, doesn't Moses mean one who's pulled out? And also, where did that baby come from? Or were all the people around Pharaoh this guy is cray-cray, and we can't say so because hashtag retaliation, but let's keep this baby and not tell anyone, or especially don't tell him. Incidentally, the Pharaoh's daughter doesn't have a name. Because hashtag, haven't we already discussed this? Hashtag boss lady, hashtag I'ma call you Katie. So, when Moses reaches adulthood, he becomes aware of his true identity and the Egyptians' brutal treatment of his fellow Hebrews. How do you suppose that conversation went? They were like, girl, you know you've been living the good life, but we have a little story for you, and maybe you should sit down and put your game on pause because we need your full attention. I'm kidding! Moses didn't have a game console. He didn't. So Moses finds out the truth, and he's like, what's this now? Peace out! And rather than helping his people, he kills an Egyptian slave master and escapes to the Sinai Peninsula, where he lives as a humble shepherd for 40 years. Yeah. Okay, so at this point in the story, I'm not saying Moses was maybe alone for too long, or maybe it was a particularly hot day and things were sort of going to his head, but here's what happened. Moses sees a burning bush. He goes to investigate, or maybe put out the fire. I don't know. I wasn't there. But when he gets closer to the burning bush, what he hears within the bush, he hears God commanding him to return to Egypt and free his kin from bondage. Now, why God chose then and not say, 40 years earlier to help free people from slavery is a whole other conversation. Girl. But Moses is like, this all checks out. I'm going to go back and speak to the reigning Pharaoh and tell him God told me to tell you to give the Israelites 3 days to celebrate a feast in the wilderness. And then he broke into song and was like, let my people go. Because he was like in his 70s at this point and like a rich baritone. So he had to sing, obviously. Okay. So the Pharaoh refuses to let the people go. Surprise. And God is like, do you know who I am? You've really messed with the wrong guy. So he unleashes 10 plagues on the Egyptians, including turning the Nile River red with blood, diseased livestock, poor little livestock, boils, I had one once and that's no fun, hailstorms, and 3 days of darkness, culminating in the slaying of every firstborn son by an avenging angel. So, needless to say, some cold-blooded revenge, #karma. So, you're probably like, I don't understand, Carla. How would death know how to distinguish between the Jewish households so as not to smite anybody incorrectly? And God is like, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna mark your door frames of your homes with lamb's blood. Maybe they didn't have paint or ketchup, so that the angel of death will recognize the Jewish households, and then he will pass over their home. Get it? Pass over. Oh, so things get like creepy and bad, and the Egyptians convince their ruler to release the Israelites, which he does. So, as Moses is leading them out of Egypt, the Pharaoh, who's like kind of the worst, changes his mind, because of course he does, jerk, and he sends his soldiers to retrieve the former slaves. So, the Jews are at the edge of the Red Sea, and the Egyptian army is like, what you gonna do now? You're trapped. But God was like, nah, and he parts the Red Sea, giving Moses and the Israelites time to cross safely. Then, like a savage beast, he closes the passage and drowns the Egyptians. That's cold, yo. So, the Jews, now numbering in the hundreds of thousands, they trek through the Sinai Desert for 40 tumultuous years before finally reaching their ancestral home in Canaan, later known as the land of Israel. And scene. Thank you. Okay, so looks like there was a bunch of comments, so I'm trying to see what everybody has said. I love your telling of the Passover story. It's the best I've heard. Thank you, Judy! Matt says, what about I told it to you? How I told it to you? I don't know what that means. Grandma says, I love your version. Thank you. Charita says, I love this. Thank you. Matt says he didn't have a game console. What was it, like the Middle Ages? I know, girl. They were like, we're going to treat you like royalty, but no PlayStation. No Xbox. No Wii even. Shoot. What's a Moses to do? Okay. Matt says Carla had a boil. I did once. It was boiling. It wasn't. That's not what happened. There's Brad. Hey, girl, hey! Okay. Any movies you can recommend? I understand there's a movie called Exodus. I have yet to see it, but yeah, I don't know any other Passover movies. Rita says, "What a meanie girl." Yes. Okay. I think that was the last comment. Oh, Aaron says this was better than the Rugrats version. Hey, that is high praise. Me and Tommy Pickles. What? Okay. So, what happens? Passover is no exception on the rule that Jewish people love symbols. For example, Passover is the source concept for the mezuzah, which Jewish people put on the doorframes of their homes. And you've probably seen them, you just didn't know what they were. Here's one that Carrie and Brad got in St. Thomas at a synagogue, and that synagogue has sand on the floor, and that's pretty neat, and we haven't put that one up, but isn't it? It's beautiful. So, okay. Now, you're probably wondering, what's up with the matzah? According to tradition, people eat matzah because the Hebrews fled Egypt in such haste that there was no time for their bread to rise, or perhaps because matzah was lighter and easier to carry through the desert than regular bread. I don't know about that. As a result, during Passover, there are a number of dietary restrictions. Now, many Jewish people remove all of the leavened products from their home, known as chametz, and will symbolically sell it to their rabbi. I've never done that. So there it is, I walk away. That's that simple. Now, we've talked about this before, but depending on where your family is from, you may celebrate Passover in different ways. Sephardi and Mizrahi Jews, as a general rule, do eat many foods that Ashkenazi Jews have centuries-old custom to avoid on Passover. Ready for this? I feel like I'm singing the Countries of the World song. These include rice, beans, lentils, peas, corn, soybeans, green beans, peanuts, and certain seeds and spices, including sesame, poppy, mustard, fennel, coriander, caraway, fenugreek, I don't know what that is, and anise, I don't know. And then food made from or including wheat, barley, rye, oats, spelt, that is fermented or risen. And then for funsies, the things you forget about, soy sauce with wheat-based vinegars, processed foods with any number of additives, and I'm not even giving you all the information. Like, people from Ethiopia may eat things that people from Morocco won't, or the difference between foods being kosher and maybe not kosher for Passover. There have even been some changes to this list recently so that some people can eat other things that they haven't been able to eat before, but frankly, I just basically do the best I can. I ask myself, did this come in a loaf? If it did, probably I shouldn't eat it. I should eat something else instead. I should eat matzah. Yummy. Pass. I'm gonna pass over that matzah. Fun fact, did you know that traditional matzah is round? Yeah, for thousands of years, matzah was made by hand, rolled out into a pancake, and then baked. They're most often roundish, which is the easiest shape to roll out and punch down. The square matzah came with the introduction of machine-made matzah, which spread through Europe in the wake of the Industrial Revolution. Machines made matzah faster and cheaper than bakers. Weird progress or sadness, I don't know. Did you know matzah was originally thicker and softer, which would be delightful, if I may just say? In biblical and Talmudic eras, matzah was baked fresh before Passover and was often quite soft and thick. That would have been great. I would have enjoyed that, because that sounds more like pita than that. Did you see that? It's like cardboard. You could make a house with that stuff. Okay. And then to confuse you more, you're okay, don't eat bread, but actually, matzah, wait for this, is bread. It's just bread that hasn't risen. Only bread that has risen is forbidden on Passover. This is why, before we eat matzah, we actually say a blessing over bread. And I actually had never thought about that until rather recently. So, Okay, a word of warning, should you be new to matzah and decide you want to buy it, but honestly, could you maybe wait until the holiday is over? Should you still want to have some? Because eating matzah when you're not religiously obligated to do so is cultural appropriation. Hashtag, there was no matzah last year. Hashtag, not substitute for crackers. Hashtag, Matzahgate 2020. Anyway, it's super binding, so good luck with your constipation. I should be forgiving. Okay. Next. Okay. So you're like, so what? You like eat and tell a story? And actually that is kind of it. We eat a traditional Passover meal known as a Seder, which means order, using a book called a Haggadah, which could look like this. This is what mine looks like, which actually means telling. We do this on the first 2 nights of Passover. So a Seder plate is the thing that's at the center of Passover, and it contains foods with particular significance to the Exodus story, including, well, actually, this isn't all on the Seder plate, but this is on the Seder table, including matzah, which you've seen, bitter herbs, a lamb shank bone, and a mixture of fruit and nuts and wine known as haroset, which represents the mortar Jews used while bonding bricks? I think it means to say building bricks as slaves in Egypt. There's a lot of other symbolic acts, such as vegetables that are dipped in salt water, representing the tears of the Jews shed during their time as slaves, and bitter herbs, which is usually horseradish, symbolizing the unpleasant years of their bondage. And at the end, we hide matzah, and children find it, and that's called the afikomen, which means dessert, because nothing is better than matzah for dessert. I'm kidding. We do eat dessert, but we also do hide and seek for afikomen, which as a rule, you should remember where you hid. And I'm not saying that we only recently found the afikomen from last year that Brad never found. So, afikomen! Okay, so I wanted to show you my Seder plate, which I made some items for fun, plus a way to engage people if maybe they don't have the ingredients but still want to participate. And I actually didn't have some of the ingredients, but okay, so haroset, which is this, and I actually did make some. Delicious. And haroset, like I said, is a mixture of nuts and apples and wine, and it reminds us of the clay our ancestors used to make bricks for the Pharaoh in Egypt. Those are some tasty bricks. Next, the bitter herbs, which I didn't have any, so I made, Lego bitter herbs, but it goes in this little dish and it keeps sliding. Ta-da! Okay, and then the bitter herbs remind us of the bitterness of slavery in Egypt. I'm telling you, we love our symbols. And then next is the zeroa, which is a roasted shank. Oops, I picked up the wrong thing. Which is a roasted shank bone, reminds us that during the 10th plague, God passed over the homes of the Israelites. And I didn't have a shank bone, but I made one last year, and it's styrofoam. So, yeah, we did the best we could. That's what we do here. Did you know that Jewish vegetarians often substitute beets for the shank bone on the Seder plate? I actually didn't know that. And then we have something called the, where did it go? The karpas, which are greens, and it's usually parsley, and it reminds us of spring when new life brings a feeling of hope. And this is mine, and they're Legos, but they look like parsley. Isn't it great? So authentic. Authentically Lego-y. Neato. And then we have something called a beitza, which is a roasted egg, and the egg symbolizes both the festival sacrifice and the hope for a fresh start in life. And we use cotton balls. We have eggs, but this is easier to show you. Otherwise, the eggs would be all over the place. They'd roll, so. Okay, and then lastly, we have something called karpas. No, I already talked about that. We have something that I can't find. I don't know. Well, there is a thing for greens, and this is also greens, and this was supposed to be a lettuce leaf. So this was my attempt at a Lego lettuce leaf. So there you go. Okay. Now, where are we? I talked about that. Okay. So, tradition tells us that we are commanded to teach the story of Exodus to our children, and that we have to engage in discussion about the story. By doing so, we continue to teach and learn. I'm even leaving like a bunch of things out, but as you can imagine, the Seder can be pretty long or not, depending on what you consider engagement or really how you want to celebrate. You may just want to have dinner with people, or maybe you go through your Haggadah and it's really quick, or maybe you sell your Orthodox and you're there for hours and hours and hours. So yeah, it's up to you. Okay. Judy says, can you eat C's chocolate for Passover? Actually, I don't think you can. There's something in chocolate that's not kosher for Passover. There is kosher for Passover chocolate, but I'm guessing C's is not it. I don't remember what. We thought about this before. There's an ingredient that we can't do. Basically, I refer to it as my Passover diet. It actually works out really well. And it's more like keto. It's basically keto Passover, but not, because matzah's not keto. Okay. Grandma says I forgot the salt water. Well, okay, technically there's salt water that's on the table as well, and you dip your parsley into the salt water. Parsley. Hey. And then you eat a little bit. You wouldn't eat that because that's plastic, but it would remind you of slavery because of the tears of the ancestors. So, okay. Like I said, there's a bunch of things I didn't talk about. I didn't talk about Elijah. You can talk about Elijah is this guy and he shows up, but you don't actually see him, and you open the door for him, and he's supposed to be a prophet, and he's supposed to be coming of better days, and there's a lot. There's a lot I haven't talked about. I didn't talk about the 4 questions. I didn't really talk about how we dip in wine. Anyway, you want to read more. Turns out the historychannel.com had a lot of really informative information. Everybody's talking about chocolate. I'm sorry. We're not gonna partake of C's candy. We don't have any anyway. But okay, here we go. Real talk. So, Passover reminds me that the Jewish people were once enslaved, and that many people are still in similar situation. It brings me to present day life, which may not be exactly about slavery, but more about scapegoating and the crisis of people being forced to leave life-threatening circumstances to search for better lives in foreign lands. And so I want to bring your attention to 3 programs trying to help make the world a better place. The first one is called ihollaback.org. It's the letter I, HOLLABACK. It's an organization which aims to train and educate people on how to intervene when witnessing anti-Asian American and xenophobic harassment. It's called Bystander Intervention, and they also have classes to address gender-biased harassment as well. It sounds really fascinating, because sometimes you think you would know what to do in a situation that you were watching and you just didn't know how to help or intervene or what. Anyway, so this is great. It's called ihollaback.org. Next, the Refugee and Immigrant Center for Education and Legal Services, known as RACES, is a Texas-based nonprofit organization dedicated to providing immigrant families and refugees with affordable legal assistance. You can volunteer to work with the organization, or you can donate money to support its team of 130 attorneys and staff members. That's RAICES. You can look them up, RAICES. And then last, and this is actually very simple because sometimes your help is pretty simple. What you can do, you can support the LGBTQIA plus community with your actions by making a conscious effort to shop at businesses run by members of the LGBTQIA plus community. There's a directory. I didn't even know about it. It's called Pink Spots, SPOTS, Pink Spots, and it lists all of the businesses and events in your area that are LGBTQIA friendly. So it's pretty great. You can type in your area and it'll give you all sorts of information. I went on the website today. I found it really informative. I didn't even know it existed. So here we go. Oh, before I do my final thoughts, did you know I have a website? thecarlashow.com! The website actually will link you to all my previous shows. It'll link you to the YouTube account. It'll also tell you how to book me, should you want to book me for like classrooms or meetings or whatever else is going on in your life. Okay. Final thoughts. I found this final thought actually in our Haggadah. It actually is sort of in reference to Elijah the prophet, but I'm just going to read a little bit of it because I actually feel like it sort of summarizes what's going on, thoughts that I have about life. So here we go. And may your day come soon when swords are beaten into plowshares and spears into pruning hooks, when nation does not lift up sword against nation, nor do they prepare for war anymore. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day and weekend, and I'll see you hopefully all on Tuesday. And for those of you who are celebrating Passover, have a wonderful Passover. It'll still be Passover when I see you on Tuesday, but I hope you enjoy your seders and your loved ones, even if it's just on Zoom. I love you all very much. Mwah! Beso, beso, beso.